VBN, the Rich Video Blog Network, home to top 10 list of everything and anything, great personality profiles, weekly NFL predictions, sports, news, MBTA bus routes and train routes, and a whole lot more. Only on the RVBN Network, Berwick, Massachusetts. Good morning, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Google+. This is Rich again, back for your first video blog of the day for Friday, October 7th, 2016, around 6:38 in the morning, Berwick, Massachusetts. Cloudy out right now, but it's going to burn off, and it's going to be up in the 70s today. Florida is getting pounded by Hurricane Matthew, so prayers to everybody in Florida right now dealing with Matthew. It's a dangerous storm. Some news to report on the RVBN Newswire. Cleveland Indians beat the Boston Red Sox by a score of 5-4 last night. The Indians are up 1-0 in the division series. Game 2's today at 4:38 on TBS with Ernie Johnson, Cal Ripken Jr., Ron Darling, and Sam Ryan. I wish Kenny the Jet Smith and Shaquille O'Neal and Charles Barkley make a cameo. Also, the Boston Celtics beat the Charlotte Hornets by a score of 107-92 last night in an exhibition game at the Greensboro Coliseum, right in the heart of Ric Flair country. And the Boston Bruins beat the Columbus Blue Jackets by the score of 2-1 in preseason hockey. And happy World Smiles Day. The best smile in the world is owned by Julie Patton, new 6, who has the nicest legs in Orlando, Florida. And that's about it on the news from the RVBN Newswire. Be back in a flash. You could advertise on the RVBN video blogs. Private message me, and you can get your business out there for millions of people who are watching these video blogs. I'm back. My first video blog subject of the day is my personality profile. Today's personality profile is about the late great professional wrestler, gentleman Chris Adams. Chris Adams had a career in sports entertainment, wrestling mainly in Texas World Class Championship Wrestling and USWA, and he was kind of a sad figure in the world of wrestling, how his life ended. Chris was born in England, and at a young age he started judo. He was a great judo fighter, and he became a black belt in judo. In fact, he was on the 1976 England judo team at the Olympics, but he did not participate. Around the late 1970s, Chris went into the world of professional wrestling in Europe for a few years, and then he came to the United States in 1981. He wrestled in California, and then he wrestled in Portland, winning like tag team titles with Dr. Tom Pritchard and a couple of other wrestlers. And then in 1983, Chris went to World Class Championship Wrestling in Dallas, Texas. That's where he wrestled the majority of his career in the Dallas area. And he started formed an alliance with Kevin Von Erich, and he was like billed as Kevin Von Erich's pen pal from England. It was just a storyline, and Chris was a great face. He feuded with Michael Hayes and the Freebirds, helping out the Von Erichs. Also, Chris had a classic feud with gorgeous Jimmy Garvin. It was like gorgeous Jimmy Garvin was like treating his like valet Sunshine badly, and Chris came to the rescue, and then Jimmy Garvin had another valet, Precious, and they had classic matches over the world-class Americans title. That feud ended up in the Texas Parade of Champions, David Von Erich Memorial Parade of Champions. The first one, it was a mixed tag team match. It was a classic. Eventually, Chris turned heel, and he formed an alliance with Playboy Gary Hart, Gino Hernandez, and Jake the Snake Roberts, and they started a feud with Kevin Von Erich and Kerry Von Erich, and it was a long-running feud. Chris was being booed. Some of the matches between Chris and Kevin were classics. Eventually, Chris fired Gary Hart, and Chris and Gino Hernandez went out on their own, and they were the dynamic duo. They were the top heels in World Class Championship Wrestling. They had an angle where they were like cutting people's hair, shaving their hair, and using the famous fabulous Freebirds hair cream. This is when the Freebirds were not in World Class. At that time, they were in the AWA. And Chris and Gino had a feud with Kevin and Kerry for approximately 6-7 months. They destroyed their car at the second annual Parade of Champions in Dallas, Texas. Eventually, the blow-off to the feud was a hair versus hair match with Chris and Gino facing off against Kevin and Kerry. Kevin and Kerry won that match, and dynamic dudes had to get their head shaven completely, and they wore masks for a while, but eventually Gino and Chris had a falling out, and they were supposed to have a long-running feud. Gino threw the hair cream in Chris's eyes. This was just for storyline purpose because Chris was taking some time off to visit relatives in England in early 1986, but in January 1986, Gino Hernandez passes away suddenly of a drug overdose, and that feud was scrapped, and Chris returned to the United States, but he left World Class Championship Wrestling to go to the Mid-South /UWF for more money. And Chris actually got in trouble outside the ring because on an airline flight to Puerto Rico, he headbutted an airline stewardess, and he had to spend 90 days in the can, serving hard times. When he got out of prison, Chris formed a tag team with Terry Taylor, and they were the dream team of UWF. They were UWF tag team champions for a time, but eventually there was the dissension among Chris and Terry, and a lot of people were saying Chris was going to turn heel on Terry, but Terry turned heel on Chris, and they had a feud that was decent. And then when UWF was bought by Jim Crockett Promotions, Chris went back to World Class Championship Wrestling, and he feuded with Terry Taylor. And then Chris wrestled for a few independent organizations in the late 1980s, including USWA, which was, the rebranded World Class. And then Chris started a wrestling school in Dallas, Texas area. One of his trainees was a kid named Steve Williams, who became Steve Austin. And early in 1990, Steve Austin and Chris Adams had a feud in the USWA. Steve Austin turned on Chris Adams, and Steve Austin brought Jeannie, who was Chris Adams' ex-girlfriend, and Chris Adams had Tony Adams, his then wife, and these matches were long-running few classic matches. They had even mixed tag team matches, and even got Chris Von Erich and Percy Pringle involved. It lasted through a better portion of a year. After that feud, Chris was basically kind of bouncing around the independent scenes, doing more training with his professional wrestling school. He never had a major run in the WWE or WCW. He briefly was in WCW in 1998. He supposed to be. He briefly was put in the Blue Bloods with Lord Steven Regal and Squire Dave Taylor, but that was short-lived because there was real-life heat between Regal and Adams. And Chris Adams made a cameo appearance in the 2000 film Beyond the Mat, and Chris was acquiring some professional wrestling tapes back from the 30s, 40s, and 50s. He was going to work on a project with Mickey Grant, who produced World Class Championship Wrestling, and Playboy Gary Hart, and it was supposed to be released in DVD sometime in 2002, but Chris had a lot of demons outside the ring. He was involved in, drugs in like the early 2000s. He and a girlfriend he was living with at the time, Linda, overdosed. Eventually Linda, passed away, but Chris survived, but he was charged with manslaughter. And while he was awaiting trial, he got into an argument with a guy in October of 2001. That guy shot Chris, and Chris passed away at the age of 46, and it was a very sad, ending to a life. Chris was, a great, wrestler in World Class Championship Wrestling. He was a decent heel and stuff, but outside the ring, his business dealings were very, very shady at best. It's a lot of people said it's kind of a curse of World Class Championship Wrestling that most of the performers have died young, which was a very sad case. Chris never had a big run in any of the major promotions, just in WCW, but he was a bit pod, and I don't know how Chris would have fit in with the WWE or WCW around late 80s. I don't think he would be a big time thing in WWE because they had the British Bulldogs. Chris probably would have gotten some stupid gimmick and stuff like that. Chris has never been inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame, and there's a chance he's never going to because he never wrestled for them. The only thing he's famous for that maybe WWE fans would probably know him of, training Stone Cold Steve Austin. And that's about it on Gentleman Chris Adams. I'll be back later, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Google Plus with 2 more video blogs coming for you. One will be about the dark period of the NBA from the late 70s to the early 80s when the NBA was close to going out of business. And the third and final video blog of the night will be about the former educational network NET, which lasted from 1954 through 1970. It should be good. Keep calm, everybody. And I'm a Julie Bunning guy. Molly Roseblood of WCCO Accent has nice legs. Elizabeth Hat's so stunning. She's the best. Amy Sweezy's awesome Amy. Linda Church of WPIX Channel 11 in New York is such a rocking cougar. It's got the best legs in New York City. And Bob Gibbs of ABC 11 has sweet southern accent. And in the words of Dee Patel last week, no bus. Goodbye, everybody, for now.